Arigatou. Good afternoon. Today, I would like to welcome you all in this Nepal-Japan Connection through Tourism session. This session is organized by Kyushu University Asia Week and mainly from Kyushu University Institute for Asian and Oceanian Studies, QAOS. My name is Kumar, and I work here as a research assistant professor. And I would like to discuss today about the how to increase the number of tourists in Nepal, because the Japanese outbound market is very big, but number of Japanese tourist arrival in Nepal is less than 30,000 annually. If we see the data from Japan National Tourism Organization JNTO, more than 20 million outbound tourism market every year. That means more than 20 million people go abroad for tourism purposes from Japan, but only less than 30,000 people reach to Nepal. I want to explore this seminar the reasons why the number of Japanese tourist arrival in Nepal is so limited. In this background, this seminar wants to explore how to increase the number of Japanese tourists in Nepalese market. What are the problems to travel from Japan to Nepal? How these Japanese people can reach to Nepal? Where should Nepal put its effort in order to increase the number of Japanese visitors, not only in numbers, but also in qualitative, the quality tourists? Specifically, today we are here to discuss about the tourism resources. This will be discussed by Sundar Kumar Thapa. Then what Japanese travel agencies are promoting, what they are selling from these tourism resources based on their understanding, and how the effect of infrastructure has been in the tourism industry, Nepalese tourism industry by Furukawa Sensei. Then there will be another speaker who is going to talk about the human resources for the tourism sectors. Similarly, there will be another topic for capabilities and limitations for Nepalese travel agencies. And again, what Nepal Tourism Board, the government body, is doing for the tourism promotional activities in Japan. These are the scope of today's presentation. And first of all, I would like to invite Mr. Surendra Kumar Thapa for his presentation about tourism resources in Nepal. Surendra Thapa, the floor is yours.
Knife-like structure was it is different than the knife which we see in our daily activities. And in Nepal, the cow is worshipped as a holy animal. So this national animal is illegal and disrespectful to cut and to kill. So we worship the cow. So this is also the one unique thing that is unique from the rest of the world. Here in this slide, some wilderness activities and adventure tourism activities are listed. Trekking, hiking, this mountain biking, rock climbing, bungee jumping, and so on. These are the few activities. And in next few slides, I have added the pictures and some famous location for these activities. If we look the map of Nepal, throughout the country, there are famous trekking and hiking circuits. You can see that on Lamtang Trek, Manaslu Trek, Kanchenjunga Trek. Yearly, thousands of tourists visit to trek these mountains. In these two pictures, I have shown the mesmerizing image of this Annapurna and Everest Everest base camp. In every such trekking circuits, we can see the beauty of Nepal. There are, I think, there are 1,310 peaks above 6,000 meters height in Nepal. And according to Nepal Tourism Board, 238 are open for mountain climbing. So also more than 8,000 meter height mountain, there are, I think, 10 numbers in Nepal, and out of which 8 are very famous for climbing, and they are open for climbing, like Everest, Mount Lhotse, Annapurna, and so on. So it is also one of the adventure activity. Another adventure activities is mountain biking. Every year, thousands of tourists visit the upper part of the region like Mustang, Manang for the mountain biking activities. Also, one other good activities that can be done near the Kathmandu is the rock climbing as well. So in the area like Nagarjuna and Hathiban area, we can do the rock climbing, and this is also the one famous touristic activities. To observe the mesmerizing view of Nepal, another adventure activities is the paragliding, which is open in Nepal in various parts. This is the paragliding in Sarangkot, and we can see the whole Pokhara by doing paragliding in the Sarangkot as well. Also, for the tourist having the strong heart, this bungee jumping is another adventure. In Kusma, Nepal, the world highest bungee jump, 228 meters, is there, and this is also one very good adventure activities. Also, to observe the mountains without climbing, it is very convenient to go for the mountain flights. Tourists can witness beauty of mountain without any physical stress. So it is also one very attractive touristic activities. Nepal is a paradise of love borders. According to the Nepal Tourism Board, there are 646 species covering 8% of the world total birds. So even near the Kathmandu, we can observe more than 500 bird species. Fulchoki, Godavari, and Nagarjuna are famous for bird watching. Also, my favorite is jungle safari and elephant riding. There are 12 national parks in Nepal. Jungle safari is one pleasant activities to witness the wildlife and national flora and fauna as well. From here, I want to highlight religious aspect of Nepal. Being culturally diverse and more than 80% of Hinduism, Nepal has ample religious sites. Even we can see in this map. It is once said that Kathmandu city is the city of temple. So in Nepal, Nepal for Hinduism, Pashupatinath, and in Janakpur Dham, Janaki temple is very popular for Hinduism. Thousands of pilgrims from all over the world visit these two temples every year. Also, Lumini is the birthplace of Nepal. Of Lord Gautama Buddha, and Mayadevi temple is shown here, and the Ashoka pillar is shown here. So these are the famous pillar and the famous heritage in Nepal that are belong to the Lord Gautama Buddha birth. So this is also the one famous touristic destination. Other famous religious sites are Swayambhunath, commonly known as the monkey temple. So we can see a lot of monkey in this temple. Another one is Kathmandu Darbar Square, Patan Darbar Square. They are also listed in the World Heritage as well. As I discussed earlier, that Nepal is diverse in linguistic and the customs. As shown in this map of Nepal, more than 100 distinct languages are spoken in Nepal. Mostly people speak Nepali, but there are more than 100 different languages. So being diverse in the culture, there are also many different costumes, and this is one national costumes. Daura Surbal is our national costume. Being cultural diverse in linguistic, there are many festivals in Nepal. So famous festival for ladies is Tej, which is celebrated in mid-August. And Dasai, this is the biggest festival for Nepalese, especially for Hindu people. Nepalese all over the world wanted to visit Nepal during this period in Dasai. Another festival is the Festival of Light, which is called Deepavali. It's also celebrated recently. It is celebrated in early November. Another biggest festival is Holi, which is called the Festival of Color, which is celebrated in early March. Beside this festival, there are many jatras celebrated in Nepal. Indra Jatra is famous jatra that is celebrated in Kathmandu among Newars. Also, Nepal is the country which has only the living goddess called Kumari. Only during the Indra Jatra period, this Kumari is taken out for worship by the common people. There are tons of Nepalese cuisines. I listed few here. The national food is dal bhat. Everyday kitchen in Nepal is served with the dal bhat. And the Newari cuisine also, which is very tasty and famous throughout the tourists in the world. Another famous food is momos. This is the recent generation of people love this momos, and it is also loved by the tourists. Finally, here I saw some photographs. We saw the beauty of Nepal, like the sunrise in Pokhara from Sarangkot, and this is Pevalog in Pokhara, this mountain hiking, and the Masapusre, which is mesmerizing mountain view. And another one is another adventure, water adventure is rafting, which is also very famous among tourists. We cannot stop talking about the different tourism resources in Nepal. So in this slide, overall in this presentation, I may not address all those resources. So I want to conclude my presentation from this slide. Thank you for listening. If you have any queries, you can ask me.
Samudra-san, thank you very much. And yes, of course, being a mountainous country, most of the tourism activities in Nepal are supposed to be adventurous activities, but we also have many cultural, historical, and religious places where people can normally visit. And luckily, we also have many tourist activities nearby Kathmandu city, targeting to the busy Japanese tourists who can go to Nepal. They can spend 2-3 days and visit nearby Kathmandu city, and they can have plenty of view, and they can also have adventurous activities and so on. Let me pick up 1 or 2 questions if there are any questions, either from the floor or from the audience. In chat box, I couldn't see any questions. Maybe we can ask you questions later on. Thank you, Samudra-san, for now. Samudra-san presented that we have plenty of tourism resources in Nepal, but how Japanese travel agencies are perceiving that tourism resources from their viewpoints? Let's hear from Tomoyuki Fukunaga, who is working as the manager at Eurasia Travel Company in Tokyo.
Hello, thank you for providing me this opportunity. And if I had a clear answer to how to increase the Japanese tourists, I won't be sharing it here. So this is just one, I'll make one suggestion, which is cannot be the only one and only answer, but from a perspective of a tourist Japanese travel agency, it might contradict with what Samudra-san just spoke, but I'd like to suggest that maybe focusing more on one thing than the whole diversity, variety, might be a good way to compete with the competitors that Nepal has in the tourism market. So I'll start my presentation. And first, there are many Japanese tourists and there are many Japanese travel agencies. And my travel agency is a little bit special. It's not an ordinary major company. So 37 years, founded in 1986. And we specialize more in the niche markets, meaning not that we have the major, in Japan, it will be Hawaii, US, France, China, South Korea, Taiwan. But we specialize more in the remote and distant and less major destinations. And our tours are usually longer than the market average. The average around 12 to 13 days, and mainly a full package of all-inclusive tours with a tour leader accompanying from Tokyo to back, coming back to Tokyo. And the majority of the clients are retired, elderly people, mainly in the 60s, 70s, who have time and wealth to spend on traveling. And this is our, well, currently we don't have a brochure now, post-pandemic. So this is a pre-pandemic brochures. We have 16 pages, and I don't know, it might not catch up here. Well, and we have 7 courses from 8 days to 15 days. So I think it's not something that's usual in the Japanese market to find this kind of tours. And as I said, it's full inclusive tour with all the meals and accommodations and activities included. And going around Nepal, if you have 15 days, you can see a lot of things. We don't do those 2-week circuits of the long treks, so it's usually mainly sightseeing. And we do sell the cultural and wildlife, natural, and also the mountain, Himalaya mountains. But this is a pyramid of a Japanese traveler. And of course, this pyramid will depend on the individual's preferences, age, income, time. So it differs one by one, but working 25 years in this industry, I got a feeling of they have these must-go countries at the top of the pyramid that typically may be the close and rather cheaper and major destinations: South Korea, China, Thai, USA, Australia, France, Italy, Egypt. And then the second layer, which consists of Vietnam, India, New Zealand, Canada, Peru, Spain, Germany, Morocco, Turkey, and the lower part of the second layer, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and I put Nepal here. Of course, if people who like trekking or hiking probably has Nepal in the must-go top layer, and maybe people who like Europe or art or something that's you don't find much in Nepal might have Nepal in the never-go layer. But I think mainly as an average, you'll find it in the lower part of the second layer, competing with these kind of countries. And when you compete with these kind of countries, having a diversity of culture, history, people, of course, it's attractive. When you go, you will certainly enjoy it. But is it something that you only find in Nepal? Unfortunately, no. I think you can find it in other countries too. So one suggestion from my perspective will be that if Nepal can focus more on something that you can find only in Nepal, and by doing that, maybe one ordinary Japanese tourist might feel that Nepal is in the upper layer of might-go, or maybe put it in the lower part of the must-go layer of the pyramid, hopefully. Because the competitors I put here, these countries also have their own attractions, and they are really good places to see in each country. But if you go to Portugal, and when you come back and you talk with a friend, is there anything really that you can introduce to your friend that your friend who has never been to Portugal or neither doesn't know much about Portugal know? I mean, Lisbon is a great city, beautiful town, and there are also really good places in Portugal to visit, but nobody really knows about Portugal unless you have interest in, and maybe Nepal too. But if you talk about the Himalayas, everyone knows Himalayas. So specializing in that section is my suggestion to future promotion. So you have all kinds of peaks, and there are beautiful mountains all around the world, and people like high and tall things. But the mountains in Nepal are exceptionally high, so maybe focus on this more. And Japanese tourists are like this. I mean, all the mountains in Nepal are higher, taller than anything you see in other continents. So when you put it like this, it really shows easily to an ordinary traveler how outstanding the mountains are in Nepal, and something that you don't find in other countries or continents. And maybe put this word 8,000, because there are so many 8,000 strong altitude mountains in Nepal. Maybe this would be an easier keyword to lure tourists to Nepal. And Japanese, as probably you would know, Japanese people themselves have worshipped mountains throughout their history. So naturally, they will be admiring these mountains, like in this picture. And also recently, year by year, I think there have been more of these kind. This is a Himalaya front hotel in Salankot near Pokhara. And just one example, but I think these kind of infrastructure is increasing year by year, and Japanese tourists really love these kind of resorts. We have big pictures on our brochures, mainly focusing. We used to focus more on the trekking routes or natural heritages, Chitoan and national parks, but now mainly our focus is on these kind of mountain resorts and how you can admire these 7,000, 8,000 altitude mountains. This is the ultimate experience, what you can only do in Nepal. You go up to 3,000 meters and you still look up 3,000 meters or 4,000 meters, which certainly is something you usually don't do. You usually look down from 3,000 meters. This is Mount Everest. It's a little bit cloudy, so in the middle, Everest View Lodge in Shamboche. And it's actually a Japanese owner who built it. I think there's a lot of Japanese who built these kind of hotels viewing mountains in Nepal too. So that might show the tendency that how much Japanese love these Himalayan mountains. This is the same Everest on the left side, I think sunrise. And this is another new, 2000, after the earthquake of 2015, built near Kathmandu with a ropeway. Sorry, I always can't say Chandarigiri lookout. And the tourists who came after this was built really enjoyed this experience too. And these kind of experience, while having lunch or afternoon tea, looking at the mountains. And of course, the flights is something that another can't miss. And there are mountain flights all over the world, but when you go up and you fly by the mountains, you usually look down when you fly, but when you fly in Nepal, you're looking at the same height against the mountains of the Himalayas. And well, this is a short video footage one of my colleagues took in 2020, just before the pandemic. Is the music on? No?
It's on.
Oh, okay, thank you. This is Mount Everest from the flight. You're just flying by at the close height. And this is certainly something you don't experience in other countries. And you have the Mount Everest flight from Kathmandu in the east side, and in the western side, sorry, this is not a flight, but from the land. But yes, this is just another typical moment that Japanese tourists enjoy, the sunrise of the Himalayas. And this is on the western side in the Annapurna range. This is from the land, but you can also have this kind of flight. Unfortunately, the weather is not good on this day. But yeah, it is exceptional. You have a lot of mountain flights all around the world, but kind of top of the world experience is something that is unique to Nepal, and something that I would suggest as one of the solutions, not the only one, to promote Nepal in the future. Okay, and hopefully we can recover from the pandemic damage and construct a sustainable growth in tourism between Nepal and Japan. Thank you.
Thank you, Fukunaga-san. Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. And I strongly support that we should not target on the numbers. Although our government is trying to increase the number of visitors in Nepal, I always debate. I always want to debate on it, whether we are necessary to invite more elite people who can spend more money, or we just want to increase the number of people who just spend $2, $3, $4 a day and just stay in a guest house, and there is no benefit for the local people as well. We need to think about it. Maybe this is another topic to be discussed in the future.
Yes, it is. Actually, it's a topic all around the world, even in Japan. But yeah, I agree with you that, as you said, maybe quality more than quantity.
Yeah, can I ask you one question? I'm also expecting the questions from the floor. Let me ask one quick question. What impression do you receive after taking them in the tour to Nepal when they come back to Japan, maybe like Hanso? impressions
from
the
the
tourists?
participants?
Yeah.
Well, as I showed in my presentation, it would mostly be about the mountains. Even they go to the old towns and national parks. Like the 15-day tour, we have all kind of variety of attractions of Nepal. But yes, the deep impressions will be mainly about the Himalayas. And that's one reason I would like to focus on the mountains too.
I am also interested to learn what kind of complaint maybe they do after visiting Nepal. Maybe we cannot provide good quality service to them, and they may be complaining to you. I want to hear what kind of complaint actually they do. As a tour operator, you might have received some complaint. Can you be just open to us and share that complaint as well?
Well, as we are kind of a strange company. We're not I think when you go on a major company on a cheap short tour to Nepal, there will be all kinds of complaints. But when you travel 12, 13 days, the participants will have some knowledge of how the level of the infrastructure, the hotels, the meals, they don't come blinded. So there's not really many complaints. And I think basically what they are satisfied with what they are provided. And
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't see a big issue there.
Is there any questions?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Tomyuki-san, for a wonderful and enriched presentation. One thing that really struck me in the National Tourism Organization, Nepal Tourism Board, we keep on struggling to how to attract Japanese tourists, because we have different tourists coming to Nepal, and everyone has a different style or different characters. So Chinese different, Indian different, Japanese different.
I think he is freezed.
Oh yeah.
Is there any questions from others? Maybe we can keep that question for the last. Otherwise, maybe I should go to another presenter. Just bringing tourist Nepal, we need to have good infrastructure. How Furukawa Sensei perceived about the Nepalese infrastructure from tourism perspective in his 2.5-year career in Nepal. Let's listen from Furukawa Sensei. The floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me this wonderful meeting. My name is Furukawa, a lecturer at Kyushu University, ISGS. Today, I will talk about Nepali tourism infrastructure, but I am an anthropologist, not an engineer nor working for tourism sector. So I will talk about from my anthropological perspectives and a little bit academic argument on infrastructure for mountain tourism. Anyway, let me briefly introduce myself. I major in cultural anthropology and Himalayan studies. My main research area is Everest region, Nepal. And my research concerns are primarily Sherpa culture and mountain tourism in this region. And also I'm interested in the bodies of people who walk through this mountainous terrain. And I also have an interest in the road in Nepali battle in such steep mountains. What is road and how a road is regarded? This last point is concerning today's talk. Then I guess some of you are much familiar with this region than me, but I'd like to introduce my research field briefly. I've conducted my research in the Sorghum district of eastern Nepal. It is located southern foothills of Mount Everest. I spent much time, especially in the Khumbu region, the northern part of the Sorghum. The elevation of the region is around 3,000 to 8848 meters, including the summit of Mount Everest. All the Khumbu was designated as Sagarmatha National Park, as you know. Here is known as a famous mountain tourism destination. And Khumbu is mainly lived by Sherpa people, an ethnic group Jat, famous for working as climbing guides. I lived this area for almost 3 years in total. Yeah, this is a map of Nepal, you know, and this red area is Sorghum. Yeah, Khumbu is a mecca of mountain tourism, such as trekking and climbing. This region is one of the major tourist destinations in Nepal. Every year, tens of thousands of foreign tourists visit this area before COVID-19. In 2019, more than 50,000 tourists entered this national park. And there are no roadways in this area, in Khumbu. So most of the tourists fly into a small airstrip of Lukla village, then start their trek. From Lukla, about 2 weeks round trip to Everest Base Camp is the most popular route in this region. And now many of the Sherpa people live in the tourism industry, such as guides, high altitude porters, or running roads, and so on. Yeah, this is a map of Khumbu region, the northern part of Sorghum. You can see here Mount Everest, and here Lukla Airport, and here, oh, sorry, okay. Sorry, some problem occurs. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, I was living in this region, and I will show you some pictures. And this is the Lukla Airport, a small airstrip constructed on a mountain slope. And there's a small town in front of this airport, but just a 10 minutes walk, road changes into narrow trails, connecting villages and tourism destinations. And then Namche, 2 days walk from the Lukla. This is a small village. This Namche was a small village, but now it's full of lodges, souvenir shops, and government offices. Yeah, this is Mount Everest, this black mountain located in the center of this picture. And in such a good scenery, people walk through the trails. And this is one of the destinations, Gokyo. And this is another destination, Everest Base Camp. And this is the number of tourists. The upper graph is entire Nepal, and the lower one is the Sagarmatha National Park. Yeah, this region before COVID-19 saw a steep increasement in the number of tourists. And this is a scene of trekking. Yeah, today's mission is to talk about tourism infrastructure, and this is a brief explanation of how to reach Everest Base Camp from Japan. Yeah, firstly, we need to arrive in Nepal by air, which takes 1 or 2 days. Then we need to access to Sorghumbu. If we choose a domestic flight, it takes 1 day. And sorry, I modified this slide, previous one, but correctly speaking, actual flight is just 40 minutes. But the flight is sometimes irregular. And once I saw there is no flight for 1 week. Or otherwise, if we choose access to the region by land, 1 day from Kathmandu to Sareli, the capital of Sorghumbu, and another day from Sareli to Kalikora by jeep. Then from Kalikora, you walk 2 or 3 days to Chaurikalka, a settlement nearby Lukla. Then I already explained, at minimum 10 days trekking to Everest Base Camp from Lukla. Yeah, it's quite long way, so it's a bit difficult for common Japanese working for their office to visit this region, as Fukunaga-san said. But anyway, various infrastructures enable us to reach the destination. And this is a picture of Sareli, the capital city. 10 years ago, there are no roadways, but now motorways open and road construction is extended from this village to Lukla. Sorry, a bit theoretical talk. Recently, infrastructure is one of the center of attention by the anthropologists. This kind of study started in the mid-1990s, but increasing since the 2000s. They focus on the material structures that form our common sense, natural life world. Brian Larkin, an anthropologist studying infrastructure, says as follows. Infrastructures are built networks that facilitate the flow of goods, people, or ideas, and allow for their exchange over space. Or another anthropologist, Nikki Anand, says that they means infrastructure, are material networks that allow us to live, to dream, and to desire. These authors pointed out that such network makes our daily world. Also, Susan Ray Starr, one of the originators of infrastructure studies, proposed 9 properties of infrastructure. I don't explain them one by one today, but important thing is that infrastructure is not just brought from outside, but is intricately intertwined with each cultural context and practices. And when infrastructure works, it is invisible. But if some accident occurs, the complex network becomes visible, such as train accident. And one more important property of infrastructure is relationality. Infrastructure is not an object that universally exists there. But what is infrastructure? For whom it is infrastructure is different depending on the context. For example, water system. It is infrastructure for residents. It's invisible mechanism. But for a plumber, it is an object of repair. It's a visible and matter of concern. Another case, computers and electricity. Of course, electricity is infrastructure for computer. But at the same time, computer is also the essential infrastructure for electricity. Please in mind a power plant. So, as Starr pointed out, infrastructure appears only as a relational property. Then back to Everest region. In the 1960s, Lukla Airport was constructed and trekking tourists began to visit this Khumbu region. Now, there are so many tourists come this region in spring season and October season. Now, the Sherpas' daily use trails are also used as trekking route. people reformed their houses into lodges. And summer pasture for yaks were converted to lodge settlements like Gokyo. As Shurik says, modern trekking in Nepal follows age-old pattern of movement within the mountains. In addition, not only such material objects, but also Sherpa's bodies and knowledge are also the indispensable infrastructure for tourists, because they are now working as guides. One of my friends says that I drive yaks in the off-season and drive tourists in trekking season. So, Sherpa's daily life is tourist infrastructure. Local culture is an essential part of the infrastructure for tourists to move in such mountains. At the same time, now tourism is an infrastructure to maintain Sherpa's daily life. So, as Star pointed out in the last slide, they are two sides of the same coin. Oh, sorry. This is driving yaks. And this is driving tourists. And of course, Sherpa culture is an important tourism resource. And also, such culture is infrastructure, is my point. And I visited the Khumbu region last August for the first time in 2.5 years. Then I was so surprised because the trails have been dramatically changed, especially between Lukla and Namche. Trails were made broad and cemented everywhere. Rocky slopes were made into standardized steps like industrial products. My Sherpa friends mentioned these improvements proudly. Also, several roadway constructions are progressing in the Seoul region. Suddenly, the capital village was connected to Kathmandu only in 2010. Now a road has reached Karila, just a few days walk to Lukla. They say Lukla and Sareli will be connected within 2 or 3 years by a roadway. These trail improvement and road construction projects were promoted after the Nepal earthquake in 2015, and they see further acceleration under COVID-19. This is one scene in 2016, and now it became this kind of steps in 2020. And this is a scene of road construction. Yeah, my Sherpa friends say broad trail is a good trail or road construction is necessary for mountain life and so on. On the other hand, tourists answered my interview, such as cemented trails spoil the pleasure of trekking, or its environmental destruction, or making landscape poor, and so on. Of course, trails are literally the lifeline of this region. As I said, what is the infrastructure is different in each position. It's relational. For Sherpa people, the trails must be broad and cause smooth transactions. They must be invisible. But for tourists, somewhat ironically, invisible trails are not tourism infrastructure anymore. Yeah, but on the one hand, Sherpa people welcome the improvement of roads. But on the other hand, they are concerned about a kind of over-tourism. This is also another surprise for me from the last visit, because usually they didn't say this kind of statement before. Yeah, actually the number of tourists is rapidly recovering in 2022. In the spring season, the number is just half of 2019, and autumn season, they say almost become as usual. They explain that once the road arrived at Lukla, a flood of tourists come to the region because the roadway is not affected by bad weather. And some say here will be full of new kind of tourists. They in this such kind of tourists are, this is not my comment, but they say so. Such kind of tourists are poor and don't know the manner of the trekking. Also, they point out that the increasing number of tourists widens the gap between rich and poor. Porters and animal drivers will lose their jobs, and clever guides and lodge owners earn a large amount of money, and so on. Yeah, so this is still a preliminary report. This is now under changing. And the most important thing from an anthropological perspective is to understand the way of seeing the world, both locals and tourists, not primarily aimed to make some proposals. And for us, at least Japanese tourists, access to the Everest region will be easier by road construction. It may be happy news for us. But if I say something for sustainable development of this region, some measures to cap the number of the visitors seem necessary. Of course, I don't mean trekking should be a rich man's hobby, but limit each category of tourists and cost-adequate fees, such as Western, SAARC countries, and Nepalese, or so on. Yeah, trekking should be open to everyone. And to obligate to accompany guides is also needed for both tourist safety and to regulate disordered trekking activities. Yeah, this is an urgent demand of the Sherpa people, and I heard this is now under legislation by the government. In addition, rules of vehicles will be needed after opening the road to Lukla. Many national parks in Western countries and Japan allow public cars alone to enter that domain. Also, the trail should be made more environmentally friendly way, such as the natural trail reconstruction method or something. This is a technique to use natural resources alone to make trails, and now adapted in several regions in Japanese national parks. Of course, this is quite a similar way of traditional trail maintenance method of Sherpas, but it affords much more resilient trails than cement and also contributes to tourist satisfaction. If, as I pointed out, the Sherpa culture is an important tourism resource and infrastructure, then it must be important to keep Sherpa's daily life and tourism Sherpa's daily life and tourism compatible, and reevaluate Sherpa's traditional knowledge. This is a private car restriction in Kamikochi, Japan Alps, leftwise early 1970, and now only public car can enter the park. And this is a so-called neo-natural trail reconstruction method, also in Japan Alps. Yeah, I, as an anthropologist, learned many things from Nepalese culture and tourism so far, of course, my Sherpa friends. So now I hope we can provide some useful examples from Japanese experiences. Yeah, in fact, tourism is deeply connecting Nepal and Japan. This is today's theme, I know. And thinking about tourism through infrastructure is also one way, say one infrastructure of connecting Nepal and Japan. That's the point of my talk. Thank you very much. Sorry, I spent much time.
It's okay, sir. Fukawa Sensei, it was a nice presentation, and I was expecting this one because we have here Mr. Sunil Sharma. He is the senior manager of Nepal Tourism Board, who is in the place to implement different projects, and maybe he is responsible for the cemented trails construction. Just recently, I heard about that, and he should have opposed that one as well.
No.
Do you have any comment?
I have something.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Fukukama-san. Hope I pronounced correctly. There are very good points you have raised, but I would have loved to see something more in your infrastructure. That is, along with the Lukla Airport, Sangbochi, if you can add about Sangbochi Airport also, that is also very important. Because before Lukla Airport, Sangbochi Airport was the main connecting route from Kathmandu to Lukla. So Sangbochi Airport has also very much story to tell. And it was a high importance during that time, I think early in 1960s and 70s, that Sangbochi Airport, you have the yak, and it is very important from the anthropological point of view also, how it was the part of the people's day-to-day life and how the people started to commute. When we talk about the Sangbochi Airport and Lukla Airport, it comes along with the Pilatus Porter also. What we have shown is the twin otter. So Pilatus Porter was the it is still an iconic plane. And when we see the Pilates portrait, then we think about we recollect the old days one. So if we can add that one, that would also be very helpful. And the third thing is that suspension bridges all along the topography of Nepal is so different in the Himalayan region that we are linked by the suspension bridges also. If we can add also the suspension bridges, that will also help a lot one. Now, when the road goes to there has been much debate, even in our office, there has been much debate with the government that a road or the trekking. Why not? In the Annapurna area, when we go to the Mustang area, then we can find that some of the trails, trekking trails are going downward, trekking trails are going upward, and the vehicle road is going downward. So why can't we construct? We have lots of knowledge. This is the knowledge-based industry. So why we can't construct a track differentiating both the trekking trail and the motorway, so it doesn't disturb one. For the local one, when the road goes, then it brings the skill also. The agriculture method, the medical method, the new technology comes into, the new skill comes on. And they take this skill, they enhance their capacity, and with their product, they come back to the market where they used to live everyday life. Recently, a couple of days before, our president went to Lukla to inaugurate one of the new hospital because it was so much needed over there. The people don't have to come over here. So that is the point. And regarding cap on the number of visitors, we need to have the capacity, how much is the capacity that can bear by the Solukhumbu area, especially in Lukla and the further one. When we talk about the capacity, we have to look upon that, how much it has impacted on the biodiversity. Has it done tremendously damage? Then we have to talk about the capacity one, because we are the underdeveloped countries, then our major revenues depend on the tourists. So capacity, local people will never accept about the capacity. But when we convince them that the people come here for the biodiversity, then they will be happy. And the capacity also have to be looked upon the impact on the culture also. We showed that beautiful Chiwang monastery, the Chiwang monastery, where the lamas are dancing and everything one. So we can't show that also. We have to tell the story about this one. So having said that, one last part is that I didn't understand what is the meaning of the new natural trail reconstruction material. I didn't understand. That is the new concept for me. If you can explain me, that will be easy. This time, or maybe perhaps later on, whatever Kumar-san can say, is it okay at this time?
I think I will pick up that questions quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for quite insightful comments. And of course, your comment, of course, my research is still preliminary one for this kind of infrastructure development, because this is first time to see such improvement, because before they are traditional trails. Yeah, I will study much more about such kind of improvement practices. And as for the capacities, Everest region, there are several bottleneck points, like Gokyo or Everest Base Camp. So in the season, many tourists come to there, and some without guides. Then there are no room at all, and some are sleeping in dining room, or some porters are sleeping outside or something. So this is also my future topic, but we need to calculate the bottleneck, and if needed, to put new accommodation in such points is necessary. And the last point, I share the slide again. Yeah, this neo-natural trail reconstruction method is developed from the way of maintaining riverbank. It's neo-natural, sorry, I forgot the name. River reconstruction method はそう。Usually, the developed country makes a river bank with cement, concrete, but it makes many bad effects on environment, natural resources. So now, such kind of river engineer use this kind of new method to use only natural resources and to maintain the ecological system.
Mhm.
Yeah, and now some of the mountain engineers use this riverbank method to mountain trails. They how can I say, they survey the way of waters or way of animals and use just the natural resource to make mountain trails. Yeah, it's developed in states, I guess, United
Mhm.
States. So
Mhm.
there are several documents you can find in American National Park.
Mhm.
So that's all for this moment.
Okay. I think the trails should be developed based on the available resources in that particular area. We should not bring like cemented
Yes.
or other materials from outside. Otherwise, it will damage the trail, and it's also cost effective. I'm also anti with the cemented trails, which has been developed in
Yes.
different sectors. We should
Yes.
be careful about this one as well.
One thing.
And
One thing.
together with this one.
Yes, Funkawa-san, one thing more, like you mentioned about the Zurich, you quote about the, from the Zurich quotation, that modern trekking in Nepal follows age-old patterns of movement between the mountains, movement within the mountains. And when we follow the age-old patterns into the modern one to move between the mountains, the one of the major infrastructure, one of the major elements that we shouldn't miss is Jokpo and Yak. That should be also be there because that is our lifeline and bloodline. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Furukawa Sensei. Maybe I will get back to you later on in the discussion section. Now, I'm very interested to see your. I was very interested to see your pictures about the porters. I used to be porters before coming to Japan. I carried 70 kg loads, and my skin of backside has been gone, and still I have some sorts of notice there. I used to be like that, and when I came back to when I arrived here, maybe many things has been changed. I even don't know. Let's hear about the human resources who are working in the tourism industry from Susanto sir.
Hello, namaskar once again. Thank you, Kumar sir and Kyushu University team for this opportunity to share our experience and knowledge about tourism in Nepal, or to show the linkage between Nepal and Japan tourism. Since I'm allocated for this HR part, so I'll be dealing with HR development only, and it will be very short as according to the time slot, I have managed my few slides only. So I'll be sharing the information on government initiatives for tourism human resource development, what government has done so far. Shall I share the slide?
Yes, please.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to the slide directly. I mean, just a second. Okay. Since the previous participants had already shared about the tourism in Nepal, the scope and all, let me also relate this because as I've been dealing with the human resource development, so I have to start from the scratch as well. So Nepal tourism started actually very before the government thought about it. It started from Earlier times, it started, people used to come for pilgrimage and all. They came for mountaineering and all. Later, government thought of it. I mean, it has to be institutionalized. It has to be created. It has to be developed in a form of industry. So, say in 1950s, when the borders were open, tourists started to come. There was a movement of tourists because after the restoration of democracy in Nepal, people started coming to Nepal. So, similarly, in 1953, the first successful attempt was done by Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary in 1953. Hippies used to come in 1970s because of the climate, the pleasant climate of Kathmandu or Nepal, the peaceful environment and the cultural diversity. They used to come, and this is how tourists started to coming in Nepal. And the government was not really prepared for all these things. Similarly, in 1972, government prepared tourism master plan for 20 years. In 1978, the Ministry of Tourism was established. Earlier, there used to be tourism department only. Until government has not given any focus or government had not addressed for the human resource development in tourism. I'll tell you more about it in the next slide. Just a second. So the contribution of tourism to Nepalese GDP or Nepalese economy is, there are few data mentioned in this slide. The jobs created by tourism, the contribution of tourism in the creation of job is somewhere around 3% of the total jobs. The annual growth of jobs in tourism and hospitality is 5%. Contribution of employment to contribution to the employment is 6.9 in 2019. After pandemic, the situation has been a little bit changed because the people were jobless, especially the people in the tourism sector, they were jobless. Later, now the situation is coming back to normal. So there is a picture, you can see the slide is there, the picture, the screenshot is there, which was published in the famous regular, in the national daily called Kathmandu Post. It says Nepal's fourth largest industry. Tourism is the fourth largest industry in Nepal. So this is the largest industry, one of the largest industry of Nepal, it has to be managed. The human resource has to be developed. So what are the government initiatives that we can see for the development of tourism? Let's see another slide. Before going to the next slide, where it talks about the human resource development or the government initiatives for the human resource development, let's see the government structure of Nepal. Nepal is a federal state. There are 7 provinces and there are 753 local bodies. And these bodies are somehow directly or indirectly related to or to the human resource development. But until now, our majority of the human resource development, the planned policies are made by the federal government. So basically, federal government is responsible for all this. Now, since we have gone through this federal concept from the Constitution of 2015, the provinces are also entitled, they are also given authority to develop tourism from their own perspective. Let's see what government has done so far. So the government initiative, government has kept tourism as a high priority. So government focus is always there for the development of human resources. The government has started this tourism management courses like BTTM, BTTS, BHTM. There are different names for the courses. And these are the combinations. Some are the combination of hotel management, tourism management. Some are purely tourism. Some are pure hotel management courses. So government has given affiliation to different colleges and universities for the academic courses, the university courses like BTT and BTTS. Similarly, there is a unit called CTAVT, Center for Technical Education and Vocational Training, that gives training for the skill that CTAVT is offering some skill-based courses. There are 30 plus courses in tourism and hospitality for the development of human resource in Nepal. And the people who can't do academically sound in their, who are not academically sound or who wants to have skill-based works or skill-based tourism and hospitality-related trainings, they go for this sort of courses. They provide bakery training, tour guiding, airlines ticketing, and different sort of trainings related to tourism and hospitality. Similarly, short-term trainings are there. These trainings last for 3 to 6 months, or some trainings last for a month only, or some for 10 days only. So NATHM is there, that is a government institution that provides some trainings like regular trainings, trekking guide, tour guide. Similarly, on-request trainings are also there. If the trainings are requested by the tourism industry people, it also organizes this sort of training. Similarly, mobile outreach training is there. So these are short-term trainings. So there are various kinds of trainings and courses for the development of human resource in Nepal. Earlier in 1972, government established HMTTC, Hotel Management and Hotel Management and Tourism Training Center in 1972. Then later it thought that it has not to be kept as a training center only, it has to develop as an institution, academic institution. So it changed the name to NATHM, Nepal Academy of Tourism and Hotel Management, which is the only government body that gives this sort of training. Though there are other bodies as well these days, Nepal Mountaineering Association and other institutions are there. They are offering training to the candidates of Nepal or to the potential tourism human resources of Nepal. Since 1999, NATHM is offering hotel management and tourism management courses. So also the government has introduced this tourism and hospitality education in grade 12 or the higher secondary level. So the students from their, after finishing the school or after finishing the 10, they can study tourism or hotel management. Recently, government has introduced tourism and mountaineering studies. The course has been revised. So the government is giving focus to the human resource development through different levels and through different stages and through different stakes. So if we can see, there is a course for if somebody has not have that academic degree, they can go for certain kind of trainings. If somebody wants to excel in their academic courses, they can go for this university courses. Similarly, government, since in my previous slide I have shared a picture of the map of the Nepal where you can see 7 provinces. Government is planning to expand NATHM, which is the body that gives training and academic courses. Government is planning to expand NATHM to all 7 provinces. Recently, it has started in Bardivas, affiliated with KU. So there are other 5 provinces where government needs to expand this NATHM as a tourism or hospitality resources, the hotel, the tourism resources, or the human resource development center for the tourism of Nepal. So these are some of the initiatives taken by the government. As far as we are talking about Japan-Nepal connection, so there are these courses are just like, as I've mentioned there in VTTM. VTTM course offers language that includes Japanese as well. As a student of tourism management, I studied Japanese as a language, but it was in 2001. I'm very sorry to my Japanese friends that I'm not able to speak few words, only few words now because I am not in the use of Japanese language. But the government is giving preference to Japanese language as well. If somebody has taken language, Japanese or French or Spanish or whatever the language is there, if they have taken extra language, they will be given preference while going for trainings like trekking guide training or tour guide training. So these are some of the activities the government is doing for the promotion of or for the development of human resource in Nepal. Until now, if we see, the federal government or the central government is responsible for the training and development or the human resource development. Basically, this is all about my presentation. I just sum up what government is doing. Earlier, we used to have, there were 75 districts, and all districts have district tourism management committee. Those committees used to work for the development of tourism, for the promotion of tourism. We used to have different fairs, domestic tourism fairs in Nepal. Those used to exhibit the local tourism products of Nepal. So if we see the government initiatives, the central government is responsible for this, and central government has given authority to the local governments, the local bodies to conduct trainings and all. So this is all about my presentation.
Thank you, Sushant sir. I'm very impressed that the government has many initiatives, although I have some questions to you. For example, if a guy has training, does it matter to his salary, or is it necessary to have training to work in the tourism industry in Nepal? And how the government supports for the research and development, for the professional development in Nepal? Do they provide any funds to the like students or university level student or master level student or PhD students? I have these questions to you.
Okay, so the government provides, there is UGC, University Grants Commission. If you put a proposal there, the UGC provides fund for the research and development. It is possible, it is possible. The government is providing fund. UGC, basically UGC is providing fund. What was the previous question, sir? Regarding
is it necessary to have training or license to work in the tourism industry in Nepal? And does it matter to his income or maybe salary or maybe remuneration? I don't know.
Okay, thank you. It is not necessary to have trekking or this sort of license. You need to have a travel agency license to start your own travel agency. But if you want to be a trekking guide, or you don't need to, if you want to be a trekking guide and you want to guide tourists in a proper way, you need to have a trekking guide license, or else you can't have it. But to work in a travel industry, you don't need to have license. But to start up a travel agency, you need to have a travel agency license. That has to be, the government gives the license, and you have to apply for it, and you have to have the valid travel license. That is the license to operate travel agency. But to work in a travel industry, license is not required. But if somebody has a license, like trekking guide, tour guide, or some other kind of guide who are having license, they will add value to their skill, and they will be paid, they will be offered jobs as compared to those who are not having valid license or who are not having license. Because without having those licensed guides are considered as the valid guides. They know the basic infrastructure of Nepal, they know the culture, climate, custom, everything about Nepal. So if somebody is having a valid license, it is considered as the well-experienced guide or the trainer.
Okay, thank you, sir. Maybe I will come back later to you.
Yes.
Is there any questions from the floor or maybe from the panelists? Can we have a 5-minute break? Maybe we will start at 4:59. I don't know what time it is now in Nepal. Let's have 5-minute break because we almost spent 1.5 hours, and although we are already delayed for 15 minutes. Can we have Furukawa-sensei? Is it okay? Okay, thank you. Let's have break for 5 minutes.
Sure. Thank you.
Maybe we should go. No, sir, please. The floor is yours.
Shall I?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So good afternoon once again. So I'm going with my presentation on the abilities and limitations of Nepalese travel industry as well as agencies to serve international tourists. So this is my topic. So before entering to the topic, I'd like to thank the chair of the session, Kumar Bhatta, a research assistant professor. Likewise, I'd like to thank my mentor, Sunil Sharma sir. He is also with us today. And my mentor and senior as well, Susan Marasani sir. Okay, so this is my one greetings, and we'd like to welcome all the panelists to my session. So moving ahead, basically my presentation is more focused on from two perspectives. So one is from the country perspective and another one is from the agency perspective. So what are the abilities of the countries and what are the limitations? So due to some time constraint, I could not mention all the points, but I've tried to address some points from my perspective. So I would like to say namaskar from the land of Himalayas, Nepal. So moving ahead and addressing on the seminar objective. So basically, I've taken this content from Kumar sir's slide. So basically, I'm answering on the supply side perspective, that is the capabilities and the limitations of Nepalese travel industry. So this will be my, presentation. This will be my topic that I'm talking about. So now, going through the abilities of the Nepalese travel industry. So basically, we have seen the presentation from earlier presenter as well. And they have talked about tourism product, the infrastructure, I mean, like the human resources. So basically, what I like to address is talking about the Nepal. So from the Japanese, perspective, from the Japanese perspective, as well as from the international perspective, okay, from the international tourist perspective, as we know that Nepal is a beautiful country and it's surrounded by the Himalayas. And if we talk about the historical perspective or from the commercial perspective, Nepal tourism started with the mountain tourism. So that is right after 1950s. So the most and the foremost ability is I call Nepal as a unique destination because, you know, within the territory or within the area of, 147,516 square kilometers, we can see different geographical variants. So, which is one of the plus point to the country because as the previous presenter has mentioned about different reasons that we have, starting from Kechana Kanchan to the top of the wall, Mount Everest. So there are different geographical features. So I will be highlighting on these points. So I would like to go one by one to this. So as I have mentioned, the unique destination, Nepal as a unique destination, on the context of the top of the wall, with the lowest point in the Tarai plains of the Kechana Kanchan in Jhapa, that is 60 meters from the sea level. So this is one of the, the positive things the country have in terms of the geographical variation. So we have three different regions, Tarai, Hilly, and Himalayan region. So, within the certain kilometer radius, we can observe different regions with different weathers. So that is that makes Nepal as a unique destination. And talking about this ethnic groups and the languages. So within this territory, within this framework, within this, surface area, we have 126 or more than 126 ethnic groups, as well as more than 123 spoken languages. So this and many other things make the destination unique about Nepal. So moving ahead, the next one is I like to talk about the educated human resource. So as the previous presenter, Mr. Susan Marasani sir has mentioned about the human resources. So when the tourism started, so tourism started from the early days, but when we see from the commercial motive, the tourism of Nepal started right after 1950s. So that is the recorded tourism that we have. So at that point of time, if we see, if we talk about the human resources, there were no any, courses or training, or there was not the point of identifications that tourism is also the industry. So talking about today's scenarios, we have different kind of academic courses, as well as we have different vocational courses run by different institutions. So talking about the abilities of Nepalese tourism today is we have the educated human resources, I say, because there are different courses that is run academically, different training programs. So that is also the ability that can be capturized. So I'll also be talking about the limitations on particular human resources topic in my previous slide, but as of now, we have the educated resources, educated human resources. And I like to just connect some of the historical things on this, as mentioned earlier. So to educate the human resources, tourism master plan, which was developed with the German expertise in 1972, has also announced about the establishment HMTTC, that is Hotel Management Tourism Training Center, was established in 1972 as well, with collaboration of international level organization and UNDP, right? So at the time, so when the tourism started, Nepal government took the initiation of, inviting different foreigners to Nepal. Like I can mention the name, like the Swiss geologist Tony Hagen, okay? So it was invited by Nepal government to map the geography of Nepal. So likewise, another name I can mention about the Jimmy Roberts, who established the first travel agency in Nepal, named as Mountain Travel Nepal. He also initiated different kind of, the teaching and implementing different management study in tourism. So we also call Jimmy Robert as a father of tourism. So when we talk about the human resources at the time of establishment, so the foreigner were, invited to introduce. So with the need of the time and with the need of the time and the frame, different type of initiation was took from the government perspective. And today we have the educated human resources by, different courses, vocational courses and academic courses, as mentioned by our, previous speaker as well. So this is also the ability that we have. Just we need to capitalize, to go further. So this is also considered as the ability. Now moving ahead to the next topic. Next one is the en masse tourism product. So Nepal is a country where we don't only have the mountain tourism, not only the mountain tourism. Nepalese tourism product are not only seasonal, because the adventure may be focused on the seasons, but the cultural activities, the wildlife tourism, the pilgrimage tourism, homestay tourism, and other forms of tourism can be enjoyed all year around or all month around in Nepal. So that is also the ability that we have. We have the option that can be promoted. So from different perspective, we can relate this. We have the en masse tourism product that can be sold or throughout the season, throughout the year. So that is also the ability that we have in the context of Nepal. And next one is, I like to mention about the collaboration. The collaboration of tourism management labels. So normally, if we talk about the tourism management label, we have 4 different labels. So, the policy label is definitely the government label. That is the Ministry of Culture, Tourism, and Civil Aviation, which is guided by, National Tourism Organization, different, Tourism Board, and under Nepal Tourism Board, there are different associations who are working collaboratively, like a public-private partnership. So I'm very happy to see Sunil sir in this session. So I'll also like to address something after my presentations. I'd like to ask some questions on these matters. So that is the thing, that the collaboration of tourism management label is also the ability and strength of the Nepalese tourism industry, so that we can work very collaboratively, and then a business level and local level are just involved in the selling process, and they sell different packages like hotel, airlines, travel agency, trekking agency, community, homestay from the local levels. So all are collaborating together. And in tourism, we say we must complement each other rather than compete with each other. So we are practicing this from different levels of management in tourism. So this also I like to put as the ability of tourism industry. And last but not the least, so the hospitality. So hospitality is something that is taught by our parents from the childhood. So that is associated with our culture, that is associated with our traditions. So we call hospitality as a product. So the satkar that we need to show to our guest is our prime motive. So in Nepal, hospitality is based on the principle that Atithi Deva Bhava, meaning the guest is God. So the principle is shown in a number of stories where a guest is revealed to be the God who rewards the provider of the hospitality. So that is in our blood. That is in our culture, that is in our traditions, and we can promote it as a product. And the ability that we have to serve the international tourist. So this is some highlights on the abilities, and putting my presentation focus, I like to move ahead with some limitations of travel industry from the country perspective as well as from the agency perspective that I have. So normally talking about the limitations. So I was also the student of travel and tourism management. I did my bachelor, I did my master's in tourism. I'm taking classes in travel and tourism management and hospitality management, and I'm running my own company. So the example of myself, always I like to address this thing, industry and academic gap that we have today. Because when I was student and when I was doing my, academic degree, so at that time, though I was very good in securing the marks in the examination, I was not offered, with some industry exposure. So that is the limitation that we are seeing right now. So we are facing the same problem. And the most important part is, though I'm connected with the academic institution, what we are doing. So once upon a time, I was just a student, and now I'm educating, we are educating the student of travel and tourism management. So in Global College International, what we are doing is we are linking the students of travel and tourism management with the industry. So we are trying to fulfill this gap so that once they go to the market, they don't face any challenges. So after my bachelor degree, it took me around 2 years to learn about the industry exposure. So that is the major problem and the limitations that we have, because, the human resource are the prime asset of the country, and the tourism human resource are, although limited in the country, so that must be connected with the industry exposure. So for that, what we can do is we can connect with different agencies, airlines, hotels, and many more during the course that we are running. So if we could fulfill this, so this will help to create a new, dimension in the tourism, so that we will be ready, or the future generation will be ready to serve international tourists with a professional way. And talking about the Nepalese tourism industry, what we have is we have limited educated people in the industry. But now with academic courses and all, now the country is generating the academic qualified personnel in the country. So if we could able to fulfill this, so this will be a good opportunity for the country to serve international tourists. Now, my next limitations that I have mentioned here is, so I'll also like to get some input from Sunil Sharma sir after the presentation on this, because I was very much, concerned on this topic, online dollar payment gateway. So before 7-8 years, I have worked with one travel portal. I have developed one app from one company. So the name of the app was Go Nepal Holiday. So when we have started the project, so we worked around 2 years to develop that app. So the prime focus of the app was to sell the tourism product of Nepal, and the payment gateway was from Nepal. So when we started the project, Nepal-Japan Bank, gave us, told us that, okay, you just go with the project, we'll approve the online payment. But till date, it is not approved. And then the main reason is, what the reason behind that was, Nepal-Japan Bank is not able to give the security on the dollar payment. So because of that, we were not able to launch that particular project, because what happens is online dollar payment gateway will block. There are many projects in the pipeline. So if we want to book the packages, of Nepal, we must go with the gateway of, the PayPal or any other sources. So why? So this is the limitation, that we are not able to launch different portals being the payment gateway of Nepal-Japan Bank, because Nepal-Japan Bank is not providing the security, or they have committed that they cannot provide the security on the dollar payment. So online is not allowed. So this is the limitations that I have seen from the agency perspective. So if I wish to develop that kind of portal, I'll not be successful, because the payment gateway will not be allowed by the Nepal government or Nepal-Japan Bank. So that is one restriction. So being the entrepreneur or being the tourism professional, I must depend on other portals to ask the payment. And regarding this, if we could, open these opportunities, it will open a big opportunity for all the tourism entrepreneurs, and this can bring the economical sustainability in the country, I guess, because now most of the things are digitalized, and then digital transformation is required at this point of time. So that is one limitations that I have from my perspective. Now talking about another obviously is the, we say the limited direct air routes and the connectivities. So that is also one of the restrictions that we are not getting the tourists. I mean, much more tourists because of this hassle travel, maybe. I'm not sure, but so this could be one limitations, because I guess the connection of Japan, direct flight to Japan is only Nepal Airlines, and that will also fly, I mean, twice a week or something like that. Like, so this is one of the limitations that I mentioned. The most important, another part is the digital skill gap. So what we have is the environment is changing, the scenario is changing, but we are into the same system because we are not able to adapt, you know, the digital transformation. Not only we, I mean, the other people working in different organizations, I mean, different association or different ministry level. So the digital skill gap is one limitation, I say, because, you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the speed and skill of the digital transformation, and every country is adopting this. And we are also doing, but still there is some gap that need to be fulfilled, because we need to move as per the time requirement, and the best possible way of solving this problem could be investing in reskilling, and of skill initiatives can be taken by different trainings or different initiations, okay, or different I mean awareness kind of things. So that is the digital skill gaps, and as well as that can be connected with our payment gateway as well. So if the policy could mention or could address this kind of things, this will be very helpful for the people living in Nepal to extend their business, and then it can bring the sustainability in the country. So that is one of the limitations. And last but not the least, so the low interest of people. So when we talk about Nepal, so Nepal is very popular in tourism activities. So in the context of Nepal, if we see the potential, we have 3 areas of potential that can bring the economical sustainability in the country. That is, first one is hydropower with a huge potential. Second one is the tourism with again the huge potential, and the third one is the agriculture. But when we see the scenario, as I'm into the academics as well as into the industry, I see very low interest of people even to join or to study the course of tourism, because tourism itself is an industry. So that is also the limitations. So that may be due to some, so we may require some policy transformation or some awareness programs or many more, right? So from my perspective, so I have given my inputs on this topic. There are many other limitations or many other abilities. So being on my side, so these are some of the limitations. So this is all about my presentation.
Thank you
very much. If you have any questions,
thank you very much. I think you covered many things, and I also fully support your opinion. But I have one concern regarding the organization of tours. Like you incorporated the digital part as well as other parts. But for example, I think we need to think about how we can make better organization of tours. For example, if a guy purchases something in Kathmandu, that can be linked with some other services in Pokhara, or maybe some other services in Igandruk, I don't know. Maybe we need to have that kind of service. We need to develop that one. I think the travel agencies in Nepal should think about that one as well. What do you think?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that is very good suggestion. So normally, as I mentioned one sentence earlier in my presentation, so actually there is the competition all around the world, right? But in Nepal, currently what we are facing some kind of unhealthy competition. You know, we are not ready to collaborate each other. So rather we want ourselves to do everything. So what I suggest is being into the industry, so we must complement each other rather than compete with each other, because every labels must collaborate, or they are collaborating. But if we need some kind of I mean, that collaborative policies are something that will work better, right? So it can be done, but that can be done with the collaboration, and that collaboration can be coordinated from different other levels. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Now, I would like to give time to Mr. Sunil Sarma. Although you wanted to have comments on your presentation, maybe we will come back later. And let's see what Nepal Tourism Board is doing in order to attract Japanese tourists to Nepal, and their overall activities is a promotional part of tourism in Nepal. Sunil sir, the floor is yours. You are muted.
Can you see my slide? Is my slide visible?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, just a moment. Okay, my slide is a little bit bigger, but I will be doing a rapid fire. It's not much. It's more like all images. So first of all, let me thank Kyushu University for organizing such a wonderful thing, and to Mr. Kumar-san for inviting us to join this August gathering. So my topic is reviving tourism in COVID-19 experiences from Nepal. So why I have chosen this one is that perhaps it will be helpful for the people like Fukunuaga-san for see how Nepal is doing, what kind of the product it has. It is beyond the mountains. It is beyond, it has something, it has so many things to offer that we can incite the Japanese tourists to come to Nepal. So having said, without losing much time, let me start. So if you look at the data, we can see from 2019, which was the peak period after the post-earthquake, to 2021, we have lost the major chunk of tourism, revenue, employment, and both the visitor spend both in international and domestic sector. So total contribution of travel and tourism in GDP, it is from WTTC. It was in 2019, where we regathered, we regrouped, and we revived after the post-earthquake. So in 2019, it was 7.5%, then it turned into the 4.23% in 2021. So again, regarding the contribution in the employment, in the value of money, it was 1.16 million in 2019, then it went to 1.06 million. Then Nepalese rupees visitor expense international was 101.4 billion in 2019 to Nepalese rupees 15.5 billion. So that means that amounts to the somewhere in the American dollar also, we have lost a lot. In comparison to 2020, we slumped down in 2020, and in 2021, we compared, then we lost almost 47%. And as compared to 2019, with 2022, we lost 70% of visitor spend. So that was a huge loss for Nepal. And if we see what is the tourism is all about in Nepal, comparing Nepal with the international one, we can find that tourism as a percent of GDP is WTTC quote 7%, but officially we quote it as less than 4%. It is less than now, it is 3.4%. But WTTC has its own method of calculating econometrics. So tourism is 7% of Nepal, that the global average is 10%. Similarly, in terms of employment, we can find that Nepal has 6.4% and globally it is 10.7%. Globally, tourism is nothing for us, but for Nepal as a singular country, it is a paramount importance. Total tourists in arrival in Nepal, I have drawn the facts from 2017 to 2022. Why 2017? Because in 2017, we just recovered from earthquake. So in 2015, we had earthquake. 2016, we revived. In 2017, we slowly we gathered up. And in 2019, we almost reached to 1.2 million. But suddenly, due to COVID in 2020, we lost a lot. And in 2022, we are recovering, and we think that we will be able to reach around about 600,000 plus in 2022. And similarly, we lost a major chunk of Japanese tourists. It started to recover in 2019, almost reaching to 30,000. And before earthquake in 2015, we had the Japanese tourists averaging about 30,000 per year. Now it's slumped down in 2020 and 2021, it was nominal. And in 2022, we are recovering all. So my whole this presentation will also be to how to entice Japanese tourists again, because we have such amazing products. Regarding the airlines, as most of the people from the developed country, they hate to be in the transit. They don't want to lose their precious time to be in the transit one. So we have some of the airlines route from reaching Japan, from Nepal is from Japan to Bangkok, Bangkok to Nepal, and from Japan to Hong Kong and Hong Kong to Nepal, and Japan to Singapore and Singapore to Nepal. So this all top three consumes a lot of time in the transit, which the people don't prefer. That's why one of the major reasons is that why they don't prefer Nepal. And like earlier presenter said, it is still in the might go. But luckily in 2019 onwards, we started a directly flight, Nepal Airlines from Kathmandu to Narita, and it is twice in a week. We have been supported by the Japan International Cooperation Agency also. It's not only tourism, we have the development partner also. Majority JICA supports us in health, education, disaster preparedness, water supply and sanitation. In a way, it is also the capacity building one. Now, how we move forward, what we have the plans in the post-COVID one. So phase one is taking the immediate action, that is to revive Nepal, that is to give the message to the global community that tourism is starting in Nepal. Secondly, we go to the phase two, where we gain the confidence of the travel industry, where they get the very good and clear message that Nepal is safe and sound. To gain the confidence is a major challenge for us. And after gaining the confidence, we go to the long-term phase that is phase third, where Nepal tourism is back in track. So everything is smooth. So this is very good to see in a slide, very, very hard to implement in real life. Now, what we have done is that after we are in between the phase 1 and 2, between phase and 2, we have done a lot of work. For example, in January 2022, where we had the peak of COVID, we didn't keep remaining silent. We organized a webinar with the tour operators and those who love to travel to Nepal with the help of the JTB media, where there were altogether 182 participants. We informed them about the tourism product of Nepal, how Nepal is doing, what are the health protocols, or whatever their queries were. We tried to answer them. So it was a very good response, and many people were satisfied with what Nepal has done, but they were very cautious also. So we also went for not only Japan, we went for the other virtual platform to inform the people what we have been doing. And we went to the Europe also, we went to the PATA also, all virtual platform to giving the same message that Nepal is safe and sound. You can come here, and many countries had the airlines restrictions, but Nepal didn't have. We have the air bubbles, we have from the Gulf countries, from Turkey, from India, and those countries we were interested to come to Nepal, we had the air bubble, means direct to direct one. So we told them about in China, in London, that is World Travel Mart, and in the Gulf Travels. So also we organized the business to business event. Then we had the ITB Now Berlin session also in Germany. So all platforms that we got it, we use it, we conveyed the message. So this was the part of the part 1 and part 2 phases. So we started to build the networks with the Indian travel also, because they are the highest number of tourists coming to Nepal. We spoke with them, we gave them the message that what is Nepal and where we are standing, and so that you don't have to worry for anything. We are taking care of the health and hygiene protocols also. Similarly, we had the virtual meetings with the international travel agencies for tourism recovery within ourselves inside Nepal, and with the we had the PATA headquarters in Bangkok where they organized it, and we also conveyed the message for the Asians in the PATA headquarters also. So we left no stone unturned. Similarly, we have another one from the Ireland Everest Alumni Summit, where we gave the message, those who did the summiters, Everest summiters also, you can come and we can go there. Surprisingly, in 2021, we saw the highest number of people applying for the mountaineering because there was a pent-up demand and they suddenly tried to come in 2021. Similarly, we made the visitors protocol, what to be done, what not to be done, and what do we expect. When you come here in Nepal, what are the guidelines that you have to follow? And that was we updated, we disseminated, we facilitated. And everything, we worked with the government of Nepal, with the health ministry, and then whatever information did the Ministry of Health provided us, we keep on immediately updating in our social media. We made the brochure. So slowly we won the trust and the confidence of the travel and tourism industry. So we have the regular tourism updates through video messages on the occasion of the International Mountain Day, dialogue between famous mountaineers, dialogue with the destination invitation like China. The special messages were given in the Middle East. And we have the special measures to the Indian travelers post-Kathmandu Delhi flight resumption. Because remember, at that time, we had the air bubble where you can't fly anywhere except to that particular country, which is given permission by that particular country. And only the citizens of that country can travel with the including the diplomats. So our major focus were on confidence scanning and motivation, as I said, gaining the confidence of travel industry, capacity building, digital marketing, which showed us the new way, like sitting at the home, still you can work a lot. And we have the aggressive digital marketing, which we show in earlier slide, activations of the influence and Nepal levels, collaboration with the diplomatic missions, well-wishers of Nepal and the diasporas we were living abroad, NRNs, non-resident Nepali. Post-COVID package also, we try to work on it, what to offer, how to offer, where to offer, and service quality. At the same time, like the Susant and the Nozzle, they did the presentation where they talk about the human resources skill. We were ensuring that the standardization of the human resource services, human services, and the bar standard, restaurant standard, or hotel standard should be up to the mark so that the tourist doesn't have any complaints. And we can, with the support of the government, we continued on monitoring and evaluation of the same part. Again, this was already shown. No, I don't want to spend much time. Like we have the three zones, like adventure zone, that is the upper in the Himalayas region. Then in the mid hill, we have the hill station zone, and in the plain, in the lower part of Nepal, we have the casinos, park, and water entertainment zone. So everything is there. So every zone is divided. You name it, what activities you want, you can have it. So different products. We focused on the different products, all season products, all age group products, focused on short haul destination also. Now, new vision for restarting, we started the camping trek also. We focus on the camping treks also, unknown virgin areas, less tents, because after the COVID, when we did the research, we found that the tourists don't want to go into the mass tourism, or they don't like to go to the places which is overcrowded. So they are looking for the new areas where they can find the less people, less crowded places, their own private transportations, and they don't want to be desert. Overall, they want to reconnect with the nature. That's why when they want to reconnect with the nature, they want to connect with the mind, body, and soul. And we identify some of the beautiful places in the far western and the western regions of Nepal, which is less crowded and which is almost a virgin area, like Khaptar and Api Base Camp. We're prioritizing the Lost Trail, the trail which carries a lot of the story, and overall it was the nature-based destinations. With the behavior of the tourists also changed after the COVID. Like Kumar-san is wearing the mask because he has to follow the university protocol. Similarly, if we have our own protocol, then how can we expect that the tourists don't have? So tourists has also made their own protocol, and their travel behavior has changed. And according to their changed travel behavior, we have to give them that kind of the product. recently, we participated in September. We participated in Tourism Expo Japan 2022. It is the third phase, the phase number 3. Look at the participants who were in Japan, and we participate. They were there to disseminate the tourism product information in Nepal and giving the message that Nepal is open now. We were never closed. 6 travel trade sector participated in. These are the different pictures of those expo. And this is how they keep on loving Nepal. Japanese people who went visited the Nepal stall, and they keep loving Nepal. And we also try to give the positive message through the diplomatic channels. For this, all the diplomats, we were in Nepal. We made a short hiking trip nearby Pokhara. They visited Nepal. They came to Pokhara. They went for the trekking, and so that they can see that everything is safe and sound. They were very highly impressed, and they, in return, they sent back the positive message to their countries that, oh, you can visit. Our people can visit to this beautiful country. You can come over here and you can enjoy a lot. As I said, that in the second phase also influencer marketing. This we try to rope in the influencer marketing who has a huge fan followers like celebrity chef Santosh Shah, the Reinhold Messner, the mountaineers the first mountains who climbed the all 8,000 peaks. Then the spiritual guru and Nirmal Purja, whose book and whose movie in the Netflix all turned all attention towards Nepal. So we developed the hill stations, which was overlooked. We developed the cultural trails in mid-hills where the new products, where the Fukunaga-san can look upon it and he can add this product into his own itineraries. And lastly, we didn't look upon only the top up. We also looked at the bottom down. It was not the top down, it was also the bottom up. We look upon the people. This needs to be well mentioned here. We collaborated with the UNDP so that the thousands of people who lost their job, we wanted to take the attention of these people also. We wanted to give them their livelihoods through tourism. For this, we tied up with the UNDP for the 2 projects. The first was a pilot project called Short-Term Employment for Informal Tourism Workforce Program, where we asked them to build the trail, beautification of the trail, and to look upon their tourism product. For this, we provided works for the 250 tourism workers for 45 days, and it was the cash for work modality. It was really a successful. And with the success of this one, we entered into the second phase, known as the Sustainable Tourism for Livelihood Recovery Project, STLRP. Here you can see the UNDP residential representative and the CEO of Nepal Tourism Board signing an agreement where we are both collaborating for this project. The project looked upon the 3 outputs. The first output or the first target was to look upon the vulnerable tourism dependent communities, particularly women and people from the disadvantaged group who lost their livelihoods. And to bring into the mainstream tourism, we want to give them not the employment, but the only short-term employment which can address the crisis. Secondly was to entrepreneurs, to develop the entrepreneurs skill where the people can stand their own feet to generate the income. And third was to building up the institutional capacity and strengthen the institutional capacity by developing the recovery strategy, digitization, and disaster risk management. So we work with the many associations as the earlier people like Kumar-san and then Susant and then Nozal all said that we must ask these questions to the Nepal Tourism Board. Nepal Tourism Board is a platform to facilitate each and every people and organization. So there are many tourism organizations. With the help of different tourism organizations, different tourism associations, we work them to work on the different kinds of the capacity development. For example, NARA, Nepal Agencies of Rafting Associations. We work on the capacity building for the river rafting guides. Again, we work with the Hotel Associations of Nepal, training for the advanced cooking training and restaurant and bar standard management training. Similarly, we had the Nepal Mountain Academy, for which we give the trekking guide training in different places of Nepal. And we have again the partnership of Nepal Association of Travel and Tour Agencies. We work on the capacity buildings with the local government, generating 5,450 persons day of employment. And then we made this small kind of infrastructure, tourism infrastructure, that can help the tourists and the local people to commute day-to-day life, like construction of small wooden bridges, resting shelters, with the help of the local body. So mainly it was the short-term employment with the capacity building and giving the entrepreneur skill. Again, I talk about the river guide training, trekking guide training, advanced cooking training, standard bar trekking. So these are some of the pictures, like one of the pictures, if you can look at the right-hand side, then you can see that at almost the altitude of 4,300 meters, we made an embankment of the stones that were available there to protect the villages, protect the village from glacier lake outburst flood. So that it was quite a remarkable achievement. And this is in the Tarai, in the lower region of Nepal, in the plain region of Nepal, where we wanted to upskill the livelihood, and we focused on women. So women came up there, they restored their culture by painting the local Mithila art, the local culture, and it was so nice to see them that their capacity, their enhancement of capacity, their skill being reflected over here. So these are some of the pictures worth mentioning here. So it was all about the sustainability, where we came with the help of the local government tourism association, partnership with the rural municipalities. We work, and then with tourism association, we all work for the capacity building, entrepreneurship, for the employment generation, to ensure that the people are not losing their daily livelihoods, and they can earn some kind of the money through direct employment through this kind of project. Having said that one, I would say that Nepal is for everyone, every age, and all seasons, and you won't miss your sunshine and sea. And what are the ways forward to attract the Japanese tourists? Here are some of this one. Digital marketing, yes, social media has revolutionized the way we have been marketing earlier on. So every day, every time, it has been changing. Digital tourism, for example, just a couple of years before, I used to make pictures and do editing in the Photoshop. And when I used to do Photoshop in the laptop, it consumes a lot of space. Now you have the online Canva. You don't need to purchase the very costly software. You can have the Canva, very easy. No need to upload, nothing. Just use and just close the website. Brand promotion, need to tell what is Nepal, the people, culture, the story. Marketing is not like Fukunaga-san can tell me better, that marketing is overall the art of storytelling. So the brand promotion need to tell what is Nepal, what culture is there, what kind of story is there. It's not just showing the mountains and the people, but the stories behind that mountain and people. That is what it is all about, the brand promotion. Like I was interested in Furukawa-san's slide presentation. He mesmerized me with his Chiwang monastery, where the local people were dancing with the Marx dance. So this needs to be told. What is the Marx dance? Why we celebrate it? So coverage, there must be coverage in Japanese television. It is very easy to write what we need to do, but it is so expensive to do promotion in Japan that with limited budget, we can't do it much more. So business to business sales mission, that is very effective. Increase media fan trips, collaborate with the non-resident Nepalese in Japan, government to government level destination promotion, information center in most of the cities about Nepal, collaboration with the JICA. Then we have the request from the NHK to film some of the new destinations of Nepal, might be 100 or might be more than that or less than that. Invite Japanese celebrity influencer who can talk good about Nepal through their video reels or through their social media, films as well, documentary, anyway. Promote Nepal in major railway station or department stores, local newspaper publicity, tourism flyers, through luncheon meetings, through Nepal, through organizing Nepal-Japan Expo with the JTB and collaborating with the Japanese Alpine Club, as most of the Japanese are very interested in the mountaineering and trekking, and we have the huge fan followers in the Japanese Alpine Club. Having said that, I've ended my presentation. So do you have any queries? Kindly do let me know, or you can contact me at my email address. So with this, I wind up my presentation. Thank you everyone for your patience and your watching at my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunil sir. Thank you for covering everything from Nepal Tourism Board's perspective. I loved it. I have one quick question for you before opening the floor, and I will also like to request others for raising hand if they want to be promoted in the panel section. I want to promote them for the active discussion. Although I want to, although we are already out of time, maybe after some time I will formally quit, but we can still continue for the discussion after formally close the session. Sunil sir, most of the tourism activities in Nepal are concentrated in some of the specific destinations, isn't it? What Nepal Tourism Board plan to diversify those tourism activities in different parts of Nepal? Because most of the presentation here is concentrated either in Annapurna region or in Everest region. That is not only our resources. We have many more resources. Why don't we promote those resources as well? And as a government body, what Nepal Tourism Board plans to promote or develop those destinations?
This is a very valid question, and this is the age-old question since last 10, 20 years, because we have been only into the Golden Triangle, that is Kathmandu, Chitwan, and Pokhara, Everest, Langtang, and Annapurna region. That has been questioned. There are, I have my personal view about this one, that we don't have too much information about Nepal because we don't like to study a lot. We don't have the information about the destination, history, culture, and geography. Since last 15 years, whenever people do ask me, what is tourism? What is the travel industry? I keep on answering. I keep on answering about the, I take Mr. Jack, Mr. Daniels, everyone statement about the what is tourism, and I keep on showing in the slide. Now, I think that this is nothing much important. What is tourism is the knowing about your history, culture, and geography. That's just, if you know it, then you understand the tourism. Having known that one, that is the stepping stone, and that helps you to develop the tourism product. Like for the Fukunaga-san, whatever you have shown is the mountains and people and that. But what I want to add is that the story should be there. If you want to bring the Japanese tourists, there must be story. It's not only mountain. Mountain is not there to take the selfie. It is there to understand why you drink the buttermilk there, salted buttermilk there. Because salt is a mineral and which you lose when you go into the thin air. The stories have to be told. To know the stories, to know the people, to know the culture, to know the destination, you have to study a lot and lot and lot. And Kumar-san, the thing is that why we can develop destination. Our now focus is in the mid-hill, which is not very high up in the mountain, where you can go the mid-climatic conditions, very nice one. Every family can go there. But the problem is can the tour operators sell that one? They need to make money. We can make the beautiful destination, okay, everything, infrastructure, everything. But it is the tour operator who have to take the people. They are making the money. They have to make the money. So if they can't own it, whatever we make, we can't do that. And how the tour operator can own it, they have to tell the story. Even if you are very good in doing the marketing, you can sell the soil also. You can sow the tree and earn the money also. But it is all, not only the tourism board, it's all a ecosystem of the travel industry that has to do. And it is all depends on all different stakeholders.
Thank you, Sunil sir. Now the floor is open. The question can be raised from anywhere, anyone.
I have one, not the question, but to supplement Fukunaga-san. Fukunaga-san, like last time we were in the training program for the tourism product, where we train the people. We work on the capacity building. When the tour operators were trained, I have one question to them. I asked them, if you take the tourists to Kathmandu Darbar Square, how long are you going to show to them? 1 hour, 2 hours, or 2 days? Answer didn't come. They said that it is only 1 hour or 2 hours. I said myself, for me, if I'm taking tourists to Kathmandu Darbar Square, I'll show them 2 days, because it doesn't start with the Kathmandu Darbar Square. It starts with the Vishnumati corridor, the river flowing downstream of the Kathmandu Darbar Square. Yes, why they fail to say only 1 hour? Because they don't know the history and culture of that part. So similarly, what I request you is that for the Japanese client, when you're selling to them, please add on more stories, the culture factor. Our people, the best thing still, on my personal view, it is people and culture. The food, different food, and every food has their own, is full of vitamins and minerals. Why we take the food, why we take the black tea, why we take the milk tea. It has the many things one. So I can, whatever my knowledge is there, I can share with you. So that's why we can attract more tourists one, and we can make the online presentations also. And Kumar-san, one thing more. We have been seeing that all around our presentation, we have been using the word porter. I request that instead of using it is a British colonized word, and it is very derogatory term. We should, I think personally request that let's use the word helper, not the porter. It is the British derogatory word. So let's use the word helper. That will, if we start by ourselves, the people will take in the other way.
Thank you, sir. When I used to go to trekking, they used to call me as a porter. So I don't hesitate to,
because without
to
them,
reveal my history. History is history.
Them,
nobody can change history. So
yeah, without them, we cannot finish our trekking and mountaineering. So we need to give them respect. So let's among our all our 6 of people can.
Yeah, I like Furukawa Sensei's. I like Furukawa Sensei's terminologies. Driver of tourists. Yeah, that's the best way to reveal ourselves. And I have one quick comment to Samudra-san. You gave the population of Nepal, that's the wrong data. The population of Nepal must be around 28 million, not 2.7 million. So that's just quick comment. And what about other questions? If there are no questions, I have one question to Furukawa Sensei. What Nepal government can develop? What Nepal government can develop in short period of time? What kind of infrastructure should be improved in short period of time, based on your understanding? Because you spent 2.5 years in Nepal, and you know the economic conditions and even how Nepal government works. You know many things. That's why I'm asking what can be improved?
It's a difficult question. And basically, I think the kind of road improvement is good thing. But in these 3 years, it's quite rapid. And we tourists and also local people surprised at such rapid change. So we need not in short term, but much more moderate improvement is needed, is my opinion. So sorry, I have no direct answer, but just opinion.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions?
And I have one question for all participants. And the most difficulty for Japanese people is language barrier. So how do you think about it?
Well, like our neighboring countries, whole South Asia was colonized by the British, so we inherited English language. So we, except Nepal was never colonized. For the Japanese one and the Chinese one, like we have, like Susan and Nodal have told that we have the NATAM, Nepal Academy for Tourism and Hotel Management. They keep on giving the trainings. They give the trainings like producing the guide, but the license is given by the government. They only train the human resources. Recently, there has been, in the last 5 years, there has been huge demand of Chinese-speaking guides. So it has been exponential. It didn't rise gradually. It rise in an exponential way, straight one. So the system is catering to the Chinese one. So Japanese is also there. The more we have the information of the Japanese one, the more demand is there. Suddenly we can coordinate if there is demand. Because tourism board is a platform where we can listen to everyone. If the Japanese demand is growing up, then we can approach with NATAM and we can see that how the human resources and financial resources are allocated one. So, but there must be a huge demand for it.
So, sir, thank you. I have one quick questions to Fukunaga-san, then I will formally close the session, but we can still continue for the discussion. Only those who have to go, they can leave the session. There is no necessary to stay. But if you want to still continue discussion, you can stay. I have one quick question to Fukunaga-san. What should Nepali government or NTB do in order to facilitate for the foreign travel agents in order to send their customers to Nepal? What should be facilitated for you so that you can easily send your customers to Nepal? Maybe there are many barriers, isn't it?
Many of the plans that Mr. Sunil Sharma-san showed on his slide, there's no one single answer to do this. So I think you have to do a lot of things. And as he said, having a story is the basement to attract tourists. And stories don't go into people's minds in one day. So you have to do a lot of things on a lot of channels.
If I were asked to add a story in my tour, maybe I will avoid it. It depends upon the people, what they want to see. For me, if I went to Rome and I didn't want to hear the story because I want to just see the monuments. That depends upon the people, what they want to see. We can tell, but they may not be interested. Then yes, it depends.
That is also true.
Yes. When I was in Rome, I look upon that the Roman Empire, the whole area where the gladiator used to work on it. So that was, I had a lot of interest in that one because I saw the gladiator movie that inspired my curiosity. So if I hadn't seen that gladiator, I would have taken the shot and I have moved out. But having seen that gladiator, having seen the Roman Empire story, I was more attracted and spent more time in that. So since I knew this story, I didn't need to ask anyone. So I sat there and tried to immerse one. Kumar-san, there is the thing like what I have experienced recently is that you don't travel. You travel for the immersive experience. Now, we don't say that come to Nepal or come to Japan for the travel. No, we say that come for the lifetime experiences. Come for the immersive experiences. Experience that when you go back from Nepal to Japan, you sit on the window of the flight and look about the Kathmandu Valley and say, oh, what a spectacular, what a great country I have been to, what a place I have been to. I'm not taking memories out of it. I'm taking sweet memories out of it. That should be the destination aspire to give it. So that is how your people, the custom officials, immigration officials, this whole construct a very positive image. This ecosystem has to be developed, and that is how we can help the tour operators.
Thank you. This is the quick, this is the quite basic takeaway from this seminar. I think we have to do many things, but we need to have positive vibes as well. Now, finally, I would like to have one photo session. Then the session will formally close, but I still want to have some questions to Marasini Sensei and others. Just let me have one photo. Nozal, can you remove your mask? Maybe one more. Yes, okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for participating in this event. Now I would like to formally close the session. If you want to still continue the discussion, you can remain here, or maybe you can leave. But I have one question to Marasin Sensei. I want to know how the students of Nepal conduct research. Still, I have more questions about it, but how much they are interested, or how much resources they are offered in order to do research, and there must be some sort of equipment, or maybe books, or maybe even computers. Here in Japan, if we get enrolled in a master's course, I can have maybe one table as a student, and one table in a shared lab. Is it possible in Nepal to promote research in this base, or what should the government or maybe other stakeholders should do to promote the research?
Okay, thank you for the question, Kumar. As far as research is concerned, students of this bachelor's and master's degree, they need to go through research. It is mandatory to submit a research proposal and the research report as well. And basically their reports are based on the tourism and hospitality sector. As far as the facilities are concerned, students, it is mandatory. Students are not that interested in the research of tourism. The tourism students are not that interested in research. Students who study BBA or Bachelor of Business Administration or MBA, they're interested more in research. But these students of tourism management, because this is skill-based education, so they go for jobs basically. They hardly do research. But there are students who do research in the tourism itself. They do PhD, they do MPhil in tourism. But there are very few students who do research in tourism. We need to have more and more students doing research, or the scholars to do research in tourism, but we have very few research in tourism. We have more and more on the management sector.
Unfortunately, Mr. Nozal left this session. We used to be colleague in 2009. Well, we were same batch. He is from NATHAM, and I used to be from Public Youth. And when I used to be bachelor student, there was no requirement for valid research. We can submit some sort of report, but in Japan, we need to submit a valid report or maybe valid thesis doing research. Actually, we need to find some problem by ourselves. Then we need to do ourselves what can be done in order to settle that problem. So we need to find ourselves. Although the professors are there to help, in Japan, normally people, normally students, maybe 5 or 6 students have one professor, one supervisor. This motivates students to guide individually. But I think in case of Nepal, we don't have such system. Is it there? Is it there?
Okay, earlier it was not that mandatory, but these days it is mandatory to submit. Unless and until you submit a research project, you will not be awarded the degree like BTTM or MTTM. It is mandatory. And moreover, at Global College, since we represent Global College International, which is a leading educational institution in Nepal, we have 2 different set of incubation center, one for sustainable tourism and another for business. So we students need to do some research in the lab itself, and the Global College is also offered the fund by European Union. We are co-partnering with European Union, and we have already set 2 labs for the research and all. We also have research cell in the college. We have research department. We conduct conferences every year. In December, we are having a 3rd international conference. So the colleges should be focused not only in the education, they should also encourage the students or the researchers to do research in. And here in the college itself, it is mandatory for the faculties like us. We have to submit our report, research paper, and it has to be published in the a journal like we have NJMSR, and which is, we has already got the ISBN number. So the college had made it compulsory or the mandatory for the faculties like us. So it increases. The students need to submit their research proposals. The students are forced, even if the students are forced, it's good for the students because at least people are doing some kind of research. It is very difficult to find the research article. If we are doing some kind of research in tourism, it is difficult to have literature review for the tourism. So if you start doing like this, and the university also providing some kind of funds, the UGC is providing funds for the research scholars. So I think in a few years of time, we can have numerous research proposals or numerous research reports in tourism and hospitality. I guess.
Thank you, sir. Do you have any questions, Furukawa-sensei?
Just a small question.
Okay.
Do the Nepali government provide an official climbing training?
Climbing training?
Climbing, mountaineering.
Yes. We have climbing schools as well. In Khumbu, there's a climbing school. The government, Nepal Mountaineering Association is there. The authorized body for this mountaineering training. And we have Natham, as already mentioned, Natham is there. But Nepal Mountaineering Association looks after this ice climbing, peak climbing, this sort of trainings. There is an association.
Yeah, actually, I want to see the training next time.
It is possible. It is possible to have. Even our students who are studying Bachelors of Travel and Tourism Management, they have already taken these sort of trainings.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sunil sir, I have one question to you.
Yeah. Yes.
As an implementing body of today's seminar, I think you heard many things. What is the takeaway?
Takeaway is that we have to still work a lot if we want to attract the Japanese tourists who are very different from the others. They are not extrovert, they are introvert. So to understand the Japanese tourist is not very easy. They will never complain. You have to understand their body language. And whatever I always forget his name pronounced. Whatever Fukunaga-san.
Fukunaga, yeah.
Fukunaga-san. Whatever he has shown, that lovely view of the pictures and everything one is that's fine one. But we have to move on. That used to be the 10, 20 years on. Now there has been a paradigm shift. We have to move beyond that one. For example, if you look at the National Geographic or Discovery Channel, you will see that the Lukla is the most dangerous airport. When I'm working at the tourism one, I will never use that word dangerous. I'll say it as the most adventurous airport, not dangerous. If you are using the dangerous word, you are not in the tourism one. So look at this one, be diplomatic. Put the people, give these things one, give the yak, buttermilk, this, that, everything one. The product has to be developed for the Japanese tourist one. There are many products. You need to do the research. And I can't do research because I have to sit 10 to 5 o'clock in this room, then do it. And only one day there is a free. So how can I do the research? You have to go to the field, you have to talk with the people, you have to look. Last but not least, recently, like Dr. Kumar-san, I have been talking to you. The book which I have been talking with you, it is such a wonderful book. I went to the bookstore, I couldn't find that book. It gives not about the Himalaya, it gives about how did the Himalaya came, where did the pull? We know the Mount Everest only from 1953 onward. And this book, 500 or 600 pages of book is not from the 1950s. It is beyond from the 1953. So this is, but we can't read that book. How can we do those kind of things? So there is the hard work, not the hard work. Smart work needs to be done. Hard work were till 2010. Now you carry the smartphone, your behavior is smart, so you need to do smart work. So that's what we can capture. That's the takeaway.
Thank you, sir. Regarding your complaint on unavailable resources, I also have complaint over you. That means your institutions. I conducted research, the primary research in Ganmala and Kopan Homestay Village in 2009 or 10. And I submitted the document to Nepal Tourism Board. If I go there, maybe I couldn't find that one. See? You also can't proper find system, so
no.
So the system should be developed. Otherwise,
no, yes, I agree.
Yeah, I spent more than 15 days time and collected data and submitted the report. But I want to compare the result right now, but there is no, no such data.
We take it in a very positive way. We are strengthening our library.
Yeah, that's why you need to have collaboration with Susant Marasini, sir, who has manpower. You have resources. You can link your resources with his manpower so that you can have better results in future, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was a nice event. Maybe Furukawa Sensei, we should have lunch together.
Okay. We'll have a virtual lunch with
virtually, you. Yeah. Furukawa Sensei is here. We work in same university, so. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. Namaste.
Bye bye.
I will write you.
Bye.
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 Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.